The Trial by Franz Kafka is a new favorite of mine, and if you haven't read this book already, I want you to pick this up because, I mean, Kafka is one of the most inspiring writers to read because the point I love about Kafka is that you can see yourself as the protagonist. Like, it paints the picture so clearly that you're almost in the room, that you're almost the one that these events are happening to, and you know something is about to go wrong, but it's so mysterious and it always turns in a direction you didn't see coming. And like, it's this air of mystery and it's this ability to picture yourself there that just adds to Kafka's writing style. And I mean, it's really a shame that while he was alive he didn't get the recognition he really deserved. And in truth, this book was unfinished, you can tell, because like at the end there's the fragments of chapters, but I really think the fact that it's unfinished really adds to it, because the overall premise of the book is that there is a banker and he is accused of a crime and nobody really knows what the crime is. He can never seem to get any information, and I mean, it's just this endless bureaucracy that's just keeping him, you know, on trial, that's making him go to investigations, that's, you know, ruining his life, that's uprooting everything about his life, but he can't get any information. He can't defend himself. And basically the point of the book is, if the court wants to arrest you, if the court wants to convict you, they will. And it's really more of a commentary on the systems that we allow to govern us, on the systems that we allow to, you know, rule over us. And I mean, the entire idea that the protagonist he's called K for most of the story. So I'll go off that. The idea that K can't get any information on the trial is more so a commentary on how the average individual doesn't understand the legal system. The average individual doesn't understand how the court works. And because you don't understand how the court works, you can't represent yourself to the fullest of your ability. And think of how many cases recently have been so publicized, have been so politicized, that like, no matter what the jury decides, they have to decide in one way, because it's become so ingrained that this is the way it's going to be ruled, that this is the thing that's going to happen. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, Julian Assange literally didn't do anything wrong, and he was a political prisoner for like 20 years. I mean, John McAfee, there's some questionable circumstances. We can go on and on and on about examples of people throughout history who really didn't get a fair shake of things, people throughout history who may or may not have committed crimes. And I'm not saying that these people are innocent, but I'm just saying, like, there's circumstances that don't really add up, and there's circumstances that don't really make sense to me. And this is really what Kafka was getting at in this book. Kafka was really explaining that, like, the average individual can have their life completely uprooted and there's absolutely no oversight. There's absolutely nothing that you can do. And I mean, he really does a commentary on lawyers, which is very interesting to me, because as I'm stepping my foot into the legal profession, I don't know why that word was so hard. As I'm stepping my foot into the legal profession, I'm seeing more and more of attorneys that really don't do anything. Like, really, they just use their influence, they use their connections to get a better deal for their client. They don't actually really pressure. They don't actually, you know, they're not willing to forego their relationships with the judge to best represent their client. And I think, I mean, there's obviously a fine line between, you know, destroying your reputation and helping out your client. Like, is it always going to be worth it to just, you know, burn every single bridge you have, because that could damage your future clients? And I think it's a fine line and it's a fine balance, but it's more so a commentary on someone that's an outsider, on someone that is looking in on the profession and just, you know, seeing that it's not all it's cracked up to be. And this is something I'm learning more and more, and this is something that particularly strikes me because Kafka was a lawyer himself. Kafka was a lawyer, and he really did something that my dad does. And my dad's job is pretty similar to what Kafka did in real life. And it's interesting to see how he can see his own profession, and he is literally destroying his own profession in terms of this critique. And yeah, it's very interesting, and it touches on the different aspects of how the court is influenced, whether it's the judges, whether it's the officials, whether it's the bureaucrats, whether it's the lawyers, whether it's the priests. Like, everyone involved in the court, Franz K has a interaction with, and it really explains the power they hold, the ability to influence the court that they have. And it more so aligns with, like, not a fair system. And at one point, Franz is talking about his case, and someone is explaining to him that basically if the court wants to convict you, they will. And it will never be overturned, because there's only a few cases in history that have been overturned. And I mean, not saying that the legal system I'm in is that way, but it almost seems that way. It almost seems like if they want you, they're going to get you. It almost seems like if they want something to stick, they'll make it. And it's really kind of scary, but it's also like, what can we do about it? Like, there's nothing we can really do, because the systems that control us are the systems that we've created. The systems that control us are the systems that we've voted for generation after generation. And I mean, it's just really an interesting deconstruction of a fundamental part of our ecosystem. Like, without court, without a sense of justice, without a sense of fairness, like the world will be chaos, the world will be pandemonium. But does it justify such power? Does it justify such bureaucracy? Does it justify such unfairness between these officials and the public people? And is it able to justify, certain individuals going after people they just don't like? And that's really the fundamental themes that this book throws into question. And it's really done masterfully. I think to compare this book to 1984 would be really an insult. I would say, like, this book is 1984 if, I mean, George Orwell could craft a better narrative, for lack of a better words. Like, I do like 1984, but I think this book it's more philosophical, and it doesn't just put it right in front of your face. Like, the ideas I just shared were ideas that I had to come to grasp with. These were ideas that weren't flat out said. Like, there was no ministry of truth. There was no, oh, you can't say this word. You can't do, like there's clear things that you would object to in 1984, but this is just more so a commentary that you can compare with your own historical context. You can compare with the historical context of Kafka and maybe today, and see a lot of parallels, see a lot of lessons. And I mean, the best part about this book is it holds up today probably better than it did when it was written. As we've existed more and more, there have become more and more bureaucratic controls. There have become more and more courts who are willing to arbitrate law, who are willing to create legislation, and that's not really what courts are meant to do. If you look at the state of the United States Supreme Court, they're trying to make legislation where a court isn't allowed to do that. A court interprets law, doesn't create it. And I think it's really, really interesting, and especially for, I mean, recent times. I mean, there's a big election. There's a big decision that was overthrown recently, and most people don't understand the core concept of it. And the core concept of it is that courts don't make laws. The laws are made by people who vote for the people to make laws. That's the basic concept of this country. But as we creep more and more into a new age, I think this is going to begin to change, because people are more willing to forego freedom for the sense of fairness. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but again, that's why we read books like this, so we get a different perspective. That's why we read books like this, so that, we can think things through in a different manner. And this book is a tremendous book. I really urge you to pick it up. It's probably not in copyright anymore. It's probably public domain. So I bet you could find a copy for pretty cheap. You don't have to pick out this copy. I just like the artwork, so I picked this one up. But yeah, I'll link the copy for this in the description. If you want to be a part of my school, if you want to be a part of my community, it's completely free right now. It's got a bunch of courses in there. It talks about a lot of the ideas I was just talking about. And first 50 people are going to get in for free. I think there's like 30-something people in it right now. So hurry up, get in there, because if you don't want to have to pay me for it, it's going to be like $10 or $20. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to set it at. But yeah, get in there now so that you don't have to ever pay me a dime. All my money's going to a hair transplant. No, I'm just kidding. You got to throw jokes in. We're 9 minutes in, so I have to throw jokes in. Otherwise, people are going to click off. But yeah, and if you want to know when I'm streaming, join my Discord. That's where I post when I'm streaming. But yeah, if you made it this far, love you guys. Thank you guys so much. The support has been crazy. And yeah, more to come. Perhaps we'll read more Kafka. I know the next thing I'm going to read is C.S. Lewis. But yeah, yeah, and if you guys notice, we're in a new studio right now. But yeah, anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.